This time on Captain Chaos's laboratory, we're going to be working on the Lemax Cha Cha. The Cha Cha is fun for young and old, exciting thrills. It says it right there on this sign. This one's a little worse for wear. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's literally just falling apart. And that's how I got it, and that's fine. This is the sign that goes up here. Of course, fell out of this panel right there. This is one of 3 flags based on the color of the base. It goes there because it's red and that's red. So, and then it's got a broken light, it's got a missing light, and then that one's backwards and that one's forward. Yeah, it's fine. Goal is to make it actually work as best as possible. So I got power hooked up to it. I'll turn this thing on, and that's the problem. I can hear the motor straining, so I'm going to assume it's got a bad gear or a bad belt, and that light doesn't work. You can see those work. The ones up here work. The ones that flash on the sides work. As a matter of fact, all 3 of these work, which surprises me since this one's facing the wrong way. And this one over here is loose. But you can see it on my finger. So, before we burn it up or make it any worse, let's turn it off, unplug it, and go from there. And we're going to take it apart. I got a new test kit, screwdriver bit kit. That was sent to me by someone. I appreciate it. She sent it to me from Canada. I'm trying to fix her piece, but it looks like it has a burnt cord, so I'm going to see what I can do to get it as fully functional as I possibly can. But since it's a piece that I've already repaired, the Octo Swing, I don't film them twice generally unless I'm doing something completely different. So, but I appreciate it. For the multi-bit kit. Now, on this, if you're familiar with the carnival rides such as the Tilt and Hurl or the Ghost Around, you may recognize this base. It's pretty much the same one. So, on the bottom, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 outer screws, 3 inner screws. This thing has been mostly disassembled. There's only 3 of the outer screws remaining and 1 of the inner screws remaining. So I'm going to remove the remaining 3 of the outers and see if it comes apart, because I'm thinking the inners hold the mechanism down. It has 4 rubber feet. I don't believe there's anything under the rubber feet. There's the 3 screws. Nope, not coming apart. So let's take out the 1 center screw. I don't think there's anything under the feet, but let me double check real quick. Just pop 1. No. So, there we go. So the 3 center screws go to those 3 studs right there. There's your planetary gears. That's the big ring gear. And there's your motor drive assembly. So technically, you don't even have to take the outer screws out. The outer screws just hold this thing together so that it doesn't lift. We got a couple of wires here that don't go to anything. Oh, that's probably why this light doesn't work. That would be why this light doesn't work. Okay, so let's plug her back in and see what is or isn't moving down here in this motor. seems to be doing pretty good. Let's check everything inside. This is an SRF 300CA 11,400 RPM motor, the standard Lemax motor, which, you know, I recommend for most of them to be the same, but on the Ghost Around and the Roundup, because of the amount of moving mass, I usually recommend the 8,900 RPM version because it's got more torque. I found it spins slower, but it lasts longer. There's way too much grease in here, which is par for the course. But what I want to check is this gear here is the one that has a tendency of breaking. And I think the reason it's slipping is the belt slipping. I can see the belt underneath through the little hole right there. That it is slipping. But you got to take this apart because besides the snot grease, one of your screws is underneath this plate. So this screw here. This belt is shot. It is stretched and it is shredding. That might be the whole reason it's not turning, is because the actual belt's just slipping, because the gears look okay. So I'm gonna grab a belt kit that's brand new and get them again. I always put them in the link, but there you go. Animatronic rubber belt kit. They're $13 from Skull Crane, which it says it right there. I'll always link it below. I just linked to their accessory page because they also sell gear kits and other stuff like that. So it's good. They sell it for the big Gemmies, but the belts and the gears, well, they're used on most animatronic items. So mini houses, 6-foot tall Halloween figures, or Christmas figures. You'd be surprised. So that should be the belt there. The reason I buy this kit for $13 is because it's a variety kit, and although I only used about 3 or 4 of the really big belts that comes with, I use the other belts a lot. It's always worth having spares. So. I'm going to wipe off the excess grease around the motor. Hopefully there's not much or any in the motor currently due to the motor is pointing down. And I'm going to wipe the excess off of that screw hole. Possible gear looks good. Let's get the bottom plate screwed back down. We'll put the gears back together, and then I'll load it again with my finger and see if that stops it. And if it doesn't, then I'll drop the top back on. Let's see, it's still got the standard, yep, 8 ohm quarter watt speaker, or excuse me, half watt speaker. You got your circuit board right here with a Molex connector. This red and black wire that's right there goes into here, where apparently this side lights up too, and then these lights on top are supposed to light up based on the wiring that's in there. There's a hair in here. And apparently the dog hears something. So since all the pins were on the top, I'm going to assemble it on the top and then use my finger to hold this center one, which will hold the other two in place, while I drop it onto its alignment studs. Hopefully, I missed. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so spins. Nothing is binding. Let's get the screws in it to hold it together. It's really, really slick with all that excessive grease on your fingers. It's definitely not binding. So let's move these out of the way of the teeth. And like that. That's why it was glued down, so it wouldn't get caught in the mechanism. But I want to make sure this spins. There we go. So it does spin, but it's catching the stuff that's not attached, like this. So let's see what these wires, which one's which. Where were they originally connected? Okay. So, looks like the hot one is this guy here. While my soldering iron's heating up, I'm going to verify that that's actually the hot, meaning that it's the positive, and the other one is the negative. And I'm only going to be using 2.5 volts to test it. There we go, it's lighting up. again. Sorry for the dog. I don't know what the heck she's barking at. Yeah. There we go. So the fat pin on here is positive and the smaller pin is negative. Now if you aren't sure, I always recommend taking a red or black marker and marking. So I will do that to this right now just to be safe so I don't forget. I'm going to put a little red mark next to the positive. See it right there. Alright, my soldering iron is up to temperature. Get the handrail back in. There we go. This black one doesn't want to strip. There we go. Alright, so we've got those tinned. Now I'm just going to tin these to make sure we got good fresh solder on both ends. Like that. Use a handheld tool here instead of needle nose or tweezers. I'm going to use needle nose pliers. And that's one. And two. Now, let's see if it'll work. Apparently not. Got no lights. I mean, it spins, but there's no lights. So, I'm wondering if there's no power coming out of the circuit board, which is possible. So, Okay. So apparently positive is negative and negative is positive. They're reversed. So when I touch the red wire, which I told you was positive, so I'll do it one more time. And I touch the black, it says minus voltage. So that means it's this is using black as the positive. Alrighty. So let's switch those around real quick. Stupid me for assuming that red would be hot, like 99% of everything out there. Alright. Do we have lights? Yes. Alrighty. But apparently hooking these lights up, these lights don't work now. Yeah, this thing's got a couple of issues. Now if you loop this around the stud, you don't need to use the glue. There's so much slack in here. So sorry for the quietness. I'm trying to hear for this thing to drop into its pins so I can at least get that one screw in just to make sure. I think it's in now. I think I heard it. Nope. Maybe that time. No. That's the problem with some of these carnival rides, is getting them to drop back into their respective spots. Maybe 15th time's a charm. Yes. So I'm going to use the 3 matching screws to hold the center in, and then we're going to turn it on again. That way it's under full compression and full weight of the unit, and we're going to just test it. Then I'm just going to try and fix some of the signs and gluing issues to make it as presentable as possible. Like this hand roll that keeps popping out. Check to see if I have any other screws to screw the outer edge together, because I didn't have any. So that is how you open up the Lemax Cha Cha Cha, or Cha Cha, sorry. It's not a song. We're not going to say Cha Cha Cha. Apparently, you just take out the center 3 screws on the bottom to lift the complete center out, and you can, unless it's got a bad circuit component, you can access everything just from taking out 3 screws. Very simple. It's a standard motor. All the gears are standard except for that impossible gear, but you can get that now. So if yours is broken, you can go to Happy Holidays Parts. He makes them and sells them. I have a video on it. If you never watched the previous ones, or you're new to the channel, or don't understand why it's called the impossible gears, because it breaks a lot, especially in the carnival rides such as the Ghost Around and the Roundup. And when I tried to have it manufactured from hobby manufacturers, because there's no part number for me to find the gear, all the manufacturers said it's impossible to make that many teeth on that small of a disc. And I'm not talking the big teeth on the top, I'm talking the little teeth on the bottom. They would have to make the bottom gear physically larger to accommodate the teeth. The problem with that is, if it's larger, it's not going to fit. So that's why it was dubbed the impossible gear. Since I contacted, I think, 5 different hobby gear manufacturing companies, and they all told me the same thing. Even when I sent them a picture that the gear exists in the wild, they said, nope, can't make it. We can make you something similar, but it's not going to fit. I'm like, well, that defeats the purpose. But Suntronics, Happy Holidays Parts, he made them, and apparently it can be done. They're made in America, so you can support an American company and a local, if you're to Florida, business or a small company in general. Because he's not very big. So to glue the Cha Cha sign on now that I scraped off all the old glue. I use Surebonder. This is Surebonder glue stick. Works better. So it's just personal preference. Mainly because I've tested so many different ones out there, and Surebonder's worked the best for me. I really like this kit. Well, I'm waiting for that to heat up because this is billet aluminum and it spins like it's supposed to. Any small electronic screwdriver, the top shouldn't turn, so you can do this. You can, what's called palming it, so this stays stationary. And it comes with an extension, which is really rare in small stuff. And then it has a flex one, which, if you see right there, there's some wear. I was testing it out when I got it, and yeah. Other than having a whole bunch of oddball ones that I'll probably never use in these, it works pretty good. I mean, the Torx will come in handy here and there, not necessarily the security ones, but it's got the 3-sided security screw, the 2-sided, the triangle. It's a basic kit set, and then it has metric nut drivers, 2.53, 3.54, 4.55. Yeah, there's nothing that small in these. So, but for the screwdriver, tips, and the extension, it's a great little kit. And I don't know where my other one went, but I had a screwdriver that I used to use, but it just keeps going through batteries because it lights up. But it uses the exact same bits, so that's kind of cool that they're basically interchangeable. But it doesn't have the spinning top because it's got a push button for the light. So, as far as this goes, there's not a lot I can do for the broken lights. These. I don't have 4 replacements to make them match. And I don't feel like spinning this one and risk having it shear the wire. I'll put a dab of glue on this one to hold it back up, of course. Then the flags, there's only one in the box, so not much I can do on that one either. I mean, I can glue the one on real fast, I guess, while that's heating up. Looking at it from the front, all the flags face left. Oh, now that's hot. Of course, right as I go to hold this into place. That's what you get for multitasking. Usually it bonds way quicker. I don't have that spray. Glad that worked out. So I'm just going to put a little bit around the edges. And burn my fingers as I put it in. think I put too much glue up here. The dollop was just a little too big. Getting the glue snot off, and we'll do a low light test. There we go. Also, when the Surebonder dries, it's generally a clearer color than most of the other hot glues out there, which I also like, especially if you're doing something with lights or near lights. You don't see the glue. Alright, so let's see what this looks like in low light. Those lights are working again. It's kind of funny. It's actually pretty decently lit. It's a little brighter on the camera than it is in real life, but not by much. You can see everything. If this was facing in, it'd be a little bit better, and you wouldn't have such a dark shadowy spot if this one was, well, in existence. You can see the signs are all lit that say Cha. All four. The one in the center and the three on the outer edges. The flag is still there, as you can see. Although the flag is apparently going the wrong direction. I only went by the box. Apparently this one spins in a different direction than what they did on the box. The arms are lit up. The edges are flashing like they're supposed to. The ones right here are too. You can see on my fingers. Now they're flashing back and forth. The toll booth is lit up. Be careful lifting it. You can see the light in there, right there. Because I don't have the bottom screwed on yet. So that's why I want to be careful lifting it. So yeah. The Lemax Cha Cha, if you have it, it's not too terribly hard to take apart. Take the 3 screws out of the center, lift the center out, this whole section here. Be careful of those 2 black and red wires. You can break the glue and pull them out, or you can desolder them or cut them and then splice them back together. Whatever works best for you. Let's see. This one just needed a belt. So this one was relatively simple. I know it's not in the best shape, but it still works. Could still be put in a display for the carnival rides. If you've been to some of those street carnivals that they set up in a parking lot in a day, sometimes those rides aren't pretty. So, but anyhow, there you go. There it is. I'll link to the belt below, the belt kit, and that's pretty much it. Till the next one.